Have you seen the saxophone turtle?
Yes.
Which is originally from a Gandalf song. I'll have you know. The origins of that is Gandalf bopping his head.
Oh my
God. Anyway.
Also the toothless meme that's like the retarded toothless. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Which that song is from a Pokemon game.
Oh,
it's like after you
hilarious.
victoriously triumphed over a certain boss or something, then you would get to this city and it was like and somebody decided to just draw the stupidest toothless I've ever seen. You know, with the widest jaw. I mean, this man is like...
Yeah.
Ugh. I need to go to the chiropractor. My back is just... awful. Anyway.
Alrighty.
Okay. Are you recording?
Yes.
Was that entire segment of me doing the saxophone turtle that was recorded?
And me doing toothless. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
That's fine.
We're off to a great start. We need some shenanigans to get us going, you know?
Yeah.
All right. And welcome back to the 9th episode of the Latte Librarians, where we will take you from cup to cover on our favorite reads. And how are you doing? How was your week?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm chilling. I went out to coffee with a friend of mine this morning. She is going to on a trip. Her and her husband are going on a trip, and so I was like, hey, if you need any help like getting ready before, or any help getting your boys ready, because she has 2 little boys, just let me know. And then she was like, do you want to get a coffee and go wash my car tomorrow with me? So I hung out with her this morning, and then I made pho. So it was a really nice, chill day. And yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was good.
What a good day.
It was very good. How was your day?
I love it. My day today has been very relaxed, which is good. I've had a hard time getting a lot of sleep this last week. My husband went on like a random quick trip out of state for like 2 days. So that kind of like threw a monkey wrench into my whole week. So then I just kind of found it hard to like fall asleep. And then I also had some other things happen. I do have a random story. If you want to hear it, if you have time, if you want to listen to me tell a random intense story. Okay, well, my husband and I on beginning of this week, I think, yeah, on Sunday, we witnessed a home invasion across the street. It was, I know, hold on. It wasn't our house. It was the neighbors across the street. Which, it was such a weird moment. We had gotten home from my parents that night, and we were pulling into the driveway, and I was like, that's so weird. There's like a dude like standing on top of the like roof trying to get into a window across the street. And my husband was like, who is that? Like, is that like a home invasion? And typically I would be like, yeah, obviously, you know, there's somebody dressed in all black trying to get into a window. That looks like a home invasion. The thing is, my neighbors, they're bizarre people. They're great. They're really sweet. They're really weird. Like, the kids, which they're like in their 20s, they're all still living at home. They like do weird things. Like, they have a lot of parties. They're always having cars coming in and out of their driveway. I mean, for a moment I thought maybe there's like they're drugs. But like, one of our other neighbors, like 6 months ago, called the cops on them because he thought that they were selling drugs. So the police came over and they were like, "Nah, you're good." So I know that they don't sell drugs, but that's like the level of suspicious activity that they do.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's actually suspicious, but like that's just kind of the vibes I get. So I never put anything past them as like that's not them, you know? So I'm like, there's a guy on the roof. I'm like, okay. So my first reaction is that it's not a home invasion. And like here's the thing, what else? The other thing that sold me on the fact that it wasn't a home invasion was the fact that when we pulled up into our driveway and my husband like backed into the driveway so our headlights were like facing the guy, he did not flinch. He did not move. He did not get up or get out of the way. Like he didn't care.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So clearly this is somebody who either lives here or knows who lives here, and they're like totally unfazed by the fact that we've seen them, you know? And so then my husband calls out to the guy and he's like, "Hey, are you okay? Like what's going on?" And the guy kind of shouts back and he goes, "Oh, I'm just searching for the homie. Don't worry."
That's
And I was like,
suspicious.
searching for the homie? Like what does that mean? Like you don't even know the guy's name? Like what? Like what does that mean? Anyway, so my husband is like on the alert. He's like, that tells me that that's a home invasion. And I'm like, yeah, this is really bizarre. I was like, I still don't know if this guy knows who lives here. Like, I don't know if this is like a random break-in or if it's like targeted or something or whatever. But then we go inside and he's like, "Do you have the phone numbers of the neighbor?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so he calls them and one of the kids is at home. He's like a teenager. And we call him and we're like, "Hey, we're neighbors across the street and we just saw somebody crawl into your upstairs window like a minute ago. If you're home, you should probably go check it out. Like we don't know who it is or what's going on." And so the guy was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me." And so he's on the phone with us and he runs upstairs. And then there's just like something happening in the background. And it's like there's like scuttling, something's going on. Like you hear like the phone moving and like no one's talking. My husband's like, "Are you okay?" And there's no response. And so my husband like books out of the house to go see what's going on out of our house. And he watches as the home invader like jumps out the second story window and like kind of like does a somersault onto the ground and just runs away. And my husband was like, "If I had shoes on, I would have run after that guy and beat him up." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, what is going on?" And so then we call the guy again and we're like, "Are you okay? Like, what just happened? Like, what on earth is going on?" And he was like, "Yeah, I got beat up. I'm bleeding. Like, he hit me in the face a couple times." And we're like, "Oh my goodness, we're gonna call the police. Like, you need to let us." And he goes, "No, no, let me call my mom first."
Yeah.
And so then we were like, okay, clearly he knows who this person is because he didn't want us to call the police right away. And so then we were like, okay, like let us know if we need to do anything. So then the parents rush home um and then they call the police and they filed a police report. And we like saw the neighbors like a couple days later and we were like, "Hey, so is everything okay?" And they were like, "Yeah, it was somebody we knew. This guy had hosted a party from like a couple weeks ago and somebody at the party damaged some of this guy's stuff, and so this guy got really mad and was telling everybody who was at the party that they owed him money. And one of our sons was at that party and he was like, "I was only there for 15 minutes. I don't owe you anything." And so then the guy who hosted the party was the guy who broke in looking for money because anyway. And so they're like, "Yeah, we filed a police report, so like, and we know who it is too, so we're making sure this doesn't happen again." And we were like, okay.
Jeez.
Like, anyway, that
People
was
are
like the beginning of my week.
Oh, yeah.
I know. It was so weird. But that like kind of set the tone for my whole week. So like today has just been so normal. Today's just been so chill. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Like there's just I'm not having to do a lot. Like, I don't have to worry about a home invasion. I don't have to worry about picking up my husband from the airport. I don't have to worry about all these things. So, I'm very thankful that today is just more of a relaxing day. So, anyway. But, yeah, so that's kind of like how my week started. And then it was okay for a couple of days, and then my husband left, and then it was like, okay. Um, my phone died, and then he freaked out and thought I was like hurt or something. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was eating ice cream and watching TV. I didn't know that my phone had died. I'm so sorry. And so, yeah, and then here we are today, and everything's great. I feel normal. I feel good. So it's just, yeah. Anyway, but yeah,
That's
just
insane.
yeah. So that's kind of how my week has gone. It's been a weird week, just to say the least. But I'm very excited for it to be over.
Me
So,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Oh, when you're like, we don't need to repeat this week. We're good. Let's
Yeah, I know.
go to
I'm
the
like,
next
all right.
one.
Yep, I'm like, that's one for the books. Literally. Ha 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 ha. Latte Librarians.
And oh my gosh, and that's an accounting pun. Double meaning.
I'm all about the layered puns, and you know it. I'm all about them.
Yeah. Uh, fun. Wow. That's
Anyway,
eventful.
it's weird. We're in February now.
I know. What happened to January?
That's so weird. I don't know. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Bye.
Like,
Goodbye.
honestly, I feel like so much has happened, but also feel like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh man, like, 2024 has been like, it feels like it's been going on for so long. Then I blinked and I'm like, wait, where did January go? Wait, we were
Yeah.
just in January. Wait, where did
Yeah.
we go? Like, where did we go? So, it's
It's
February. And you know what's in. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
it's so crazy because like there were things that I had like ordered in January where I was like, oh, it'll be here in February. And then it came and I was like, oh, it came early, only by a couple days. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. It's literally February 2nd when it came. Like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like February 1st anymore. Like, it's already like well into February. I'm like, what the heck? Like, by the
Yeah.
time this episode releases, it'll be like February like 7th or 8th. I
Yeah,
don't
it'll
remember the
be
date.
February 7th. Yeah. It'll be February 7th.
It's unbelievable. Like, we'll be a whole week into February by the time this episode releases. And I'm like, I feel like I don't know. I'm like, that's just such a weird feeling.
Mhm.
Um, but
So weird.
anyway, you know what's in February though?
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day. Oh yeah. Are you okay? Are you the kind of person who like likes to plan fun things for Valentine's Day? Like, are you the kind of person who likes to surprise your husband with like Valentine's gifts or
Yes. I have his gift saved in my phone. I just haven't bought it yet. I am going to soon.
I like it.
But yeah, like I got my younger sister-in-law she works at the same place my husband does, and her and her friends just like clean the building. And yesterday I got
That's
them
fun.
candies, like, and I got like the special Valentine's Day edition candies because I love
Oh.
seasonal candies. Even though yes, they are more
Oh, that's so
expensive than
fun.
if you get the regular ones, I don't care. I think they are so cute. So I got them
Oh
like
yeah.
Valentine's candies.
I love it. Yeah, I'm also one of those people who loves doing stuff for the holidays and like getting like themed gifts. But my husband isn't. Like, it's really hard to know what to get him sometimes because I'm like, what do you want? And he's like, nothing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, listen, Ash, if I ever need something, I just buy it. And I was like, ugh, so that I can't? He's like, no, it's just if I need something, I'm not gonna wait to get it. Like, I'll just buy it. Unlike me, who, if I need something, I put it on a list for Christmas and then complain about not having it. Like, that's who I am, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and, and the thing is, my husband only needs, like, practical things. Like, he's not a person about aesthetic. Like, he likes the same style that I like, but he's like, it's not, he's like, you decorate. Like, you know what you want. You're always thinking about it and you're always looking at stuff. He's like, I think this looks great. And he's like, and then I'm like, what about this? And he's like, I do like that better. And I'm like, okay. Okay, so at least you have a sense of taste. But he's just like, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I would like to find creative ways to like give my husband a gift. And I might just make him food cuz I know he loves food. So but yeah.
Yeah.
Audience, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions for like what we should like get our husbands. I know Anne already has something picked out for her husband, but like suggestions are great and we'll take all the suggestions you have. We would love to know like, hey, we did this and we really liked this. And so let us know because we love hearing your guys' feedback. We love hearing um just any suggestions or tips or anything that you guys have. I mean, so yeah, we love hearing from you guys. But anyway, with it being a new month and with it being the month of love,
Yes.
the month of love, we kind of wanted to go through our February to be read list or TBR list. And we're very excited. So, Anne, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Okay, so my February TBR list, it's only a few books. So when I was planning it, I was like, I'm going to do 6 because 4 of them are audiobooks and 2 of them are not. So I can just whiz through them so fast. And then I was like, let's be realistic here. Let's chill for a little bit.
Wow.
You're not going to have books left for the rest of the year if you read 6 in this month. So,
Very true.
I cut it in half and now I have 3.
Okay.
Um,
Love it.
so that gives me like about a week and a half per book. And if I do more than that, awesome. If I don't, oopsie. But to start off, I'm gonna start over. To start off, my first February TBR book is, shamefully, it is Wild Blue Wonder by Carly Sorosek. And this was in my November TBR and January TBR. And I just haven't read it. And I'm sorry, audience, if you're disappointed in me, but I just haven't. So that is definitely a February book. And it's a new month. So I have more time to start it and be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first one.
Okay.
And then my second one is Summer Lost by Ali Condi. After we finished the Match series by her, it had a little sneak peek of Summer Lost by her in the back, and I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. So I have the audiobook for that I started listening to, and then I was like, wait, I don't have a hard copy of the book. Because here's the thing. I want to, like, not only do I want to have a bookmark in a book when I'm reading something, but also my book tracker app, Storygraph, does not really track by minutes. It tracks either percentage or pages. And you can go in settings and
Yeah.
change it to minutes, but like I did that earlier and it didn't give me the option to track minutes when I like go to record if I've read it or not. So,
Hmm.
I've kind of put a pause on it until I can buy a physical copy of the book. Um,
Are you listening to it on Libby or
yeah,
Audible, or where are you listening to it?
I'm listening to it on Libby.
Does Libby have like a progression bar of like how much you've read?
Yeah, it does. So what I'm doing
So,
as a loophole
okay.
is I'm listening, and then the percent that Libby says that it's on, I'll just type in Storygraph as a percentage
That
instead of a
percent?
page number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how
Yeah,
I'm
that's
loopholing
good.
it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, there's that one. And then the last one is more Christmassy, but it's kind of the only romance book that I haven't read, so we're gonna call it a romance book. It's
I love
called
it.
Single All the Way by Kate Watson. And basically the premise of
That's so
this
fun.
is this girl gets stuck in an elevator with this guy that she does not like. Like, you know, the classic enemies to lovers trope where she's like, oh my gosh, you're annoying. You're
Oh
kind
yeah.
of a jerk. Like, I don't like you.
But
And
that's kind of cute. Wait, I love you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's like they get stuck in an elevator together and it just is like how they end up liking each other. And so far it's kind of cute. I'm only on page like 6 right
That's cute.
now, but it's super short. It's less than 200 pages, so I like am trying to finish it quickly because it's not that long. Um um yeah, so that's my February TBR. And if I finish those early and I have room for an extra book, I'll probably start Northanger Abbey this month. I'm trying to like do each month as like a certain theme. So like if there's a holiday, especially February, because there are like so many. It's such an easy holiday to like pick something that relates to it. You know, like there's plenty of
Yeah.
cute romance books out there. So yeah, that's my
I love it.
February TBR
That's great.
list.
That's great. Mine is also pretty short compared to how my others have been in the past like couple of months. And honestly, the reason why is because my life is getting busier, and so I don't want to have higher expectations for myself and be like, you have to read 5 books this month. And I'm like, well, what if I can't? And what if I can, like, what if I don't read 5? What if I only get 3 done? And so it's like, I feel like as a completionist in a lot of ways, I feel like my brain would be very upset if I only read 3 instead of 5, which that's still 3 books that I read. Like that's still pretty
Yeah.
impressive. But, so I'm like, I'm just going to stick with 3. I'm going to keep it lower. If it grows, then great. I can read more, but let's just start with a lower standard. Anyway, so the first one that I'm starting with was a book that was recommended to me from a friend of mine. She spoke very highly of it. I've mentioned it before on this podcast, and it's the Chaos Walking series. It's not really necessarily a romance. It's much more of a psychological kind of book.
Ooh.
It's like dealing with a lot of like how the human mind works and just like from a boy becoming a man and then he meets a girl. So I think there is some love aspects to it, but um it's definitely more of like a kind of a psychological development kind of book of like, okay, this person has dealt with a lot of trauma. How are they going to be able to cope with it? How are they going to be able to grow from it? How are they going to be able to So it's much more of a deeper, not necessarily philosophical, but a different kind of read, so I'm really excited about that. Um, and then the second book that I have on this list is Talon by Jaden Jeslow. I think you recommended this one to me, Anne. And
Yes.
I read the synopsis, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
It's like right in my alleyway of like genres, so I'm really excited. It's like dystopian fantasy adventure, so I'm like, oh, that's like totally what I love to read. So, I'm excited about that. Um, yeah, it's about just trying to figure out like, um, there's like this assassination and people are trying to kill the main character whose name is Talon, and they're like trying to figure out why, and so they're trying to like solve this mystery, and then um yeah,
Yeah.
so
I'm really excited to pick that up
very
too.
interesting. Yeah, looks good. It looks so good. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like in like it's like dystopian America, so it's really interesting. It's like it's set in the Bronx, but they call it something different. And anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited to read that one. That one I think is just gonna be more of a classic. Like it'll feel a lot more like Divergent or Hunger Games style stuff, which I'm
Mm.
excited for.
Yeah.
With just a hint of mystery, which I love. Um, and then the third book, which is our current read listed on our Instagram, and that's Little Women. I have not had the time to start it.
Me neither.
I have not had the time to start it this month of January. And so I'm like, it's on my list of things to read for February because we need to talk about it on this on this podcast. Like,
Yeah.
eventually we have to finish it.
Yeah.
And it's also the cutest book. I love the cover and I love
So
just what
pretty.
it talks about. I feel like it's very like feels right up the alley of like Pride and Prejudice and Emma and Sense and Sensibility. Like it's all in that realm of books and just classic romance literature. And so I'm really excited. I've seen the movies before, but
Same.
like the books are so much different, you know? Like you get to imagine how all the characters look and how all the settings go down. Like that to me just sounds way more fun than watching the movie. So, anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I like that one because I like that that's just more romance oriented, so it'll feel more like February. So,
Yes.
I am excited for that. Yeah. And I'm curious, of your list of the 3 books that you have, which one are you going to start with? And then which one are you most excited for?
I You see, if you recall from our resources episode, that was how to raise your self-esteem, and I said I was like a raccoon in the garage. I'm still a raccoon in the garage. I have not left the garage. And I have not evolved into a bunny. I am still a raccoon. So right now I'm only reading one. Right now I'm reading
Which one is it?
right now I'm reading Single All the Way by Watson. But
You started Summer Lost too. So you're technically reading too.
I did, and I have fully intended to start Wild Blue Wonder as well.
Huh.
I'm still a raccoon in the
And,
garage. I can't.
and
I can't be like. I don't.
oh my goodness.
And this time
I mean,
they're
I'm
like,
even looking.
yeah,
I'm looking at my list, and I'm like, okay, which one do I start with? Like, it would be oh, and you're just like, oh, I've already started all 3, and I'm like, what do you?
yeah.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works for you. If chaos is the way that works for you, enjoy chaos.
They're like,
Which is so funny. It's so not you,
no,
except for books.
yeah, and they're also like really similar in genre. Like, I, yeah, they're all They all have an aspect of romance.
Oh, and
I
why would you do this to yourself?
I need different vibes, different times I read. Sometimes I want teen romance. I'll read Summer Lost. Sometimes I want to feel holiday, something new I've never read before, an author I've never heard of romance. I'll read Single all the way. And then I just really want to finally read my November TBR book that I still have yet to read.
Oh my goodness. That's so funny. The thing is, once I start in a book, I just have to see the end through.
Oh, I
I'm like,
see
I
it
couldn't
ends
bring
through.
myself to.
It's just.
I know you do. I know you do. But like halfway through reading it, to just be like, move on. Uh, uh, like I would at least have to take a break in between. I'd have to like stop reading, and just process what I've just read. And you're like reading two books at once. You're like, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's a superpower. I don't get it. I don't understand.
I think the one time
Oh
I
my
read
God.
one book at a time recently was finishing my January TBR. I had already finished the first two books I wanted to read, and then I was like, I have X amount of
Oh.
days left in January. I can finish this. And then I was like, I don't have time to worry about starting a second book because then it'll, like, I wanted it like an accountant. I wanted it to be done on January 31st. Just like all the
Well
books
done.
have to be
Well
done
done.
by the end of the month.
I love that it was order in the end and not chaos.
Eh.
Um,
Yeah,
did you finish When You Wish Upon a Lantern?
I did. Yeah. It
How
was
was
really
that? How was
cute.
the ending of that?
The
Really?
ending was really
Oh.
sweet. The characters got a lot of development in the sense of like they both really wanted to take over their family business and their parents were telling them no, and they were like, what the heck, the person that you want to put in charge or the thing that you want to do like is ridiculous, or the person doesn't care, like I care about this, like why. And it just like they kind of realized towards the end that like, I mean, the female character's parents said like this lantern shop was your grandma's dream, and the female character had a close relationship with her grandma, and so she was like, I want to keep doing this. And her parents were like, we only took it over because, well, it was her dad's mom, and her dad was like, I chose to not go to school so I could like continue my mom's dream and take care of her while she was sick. And but that doesn't have to be you. Like you don't have to take it over just because it's not doing well right now and like your mom and I are thinking of shutting it down. And the characters just kind of realized that like as much as they loved the businesses that their families owned, they really began to realize why their parents weren't letting them like have the business on their shoulders is because they were like, I didn't even realize how many opportunities that I could have outside of this, and now like all these opportunities are happening, like going to college and like, and I'm so excited that I'm free to make those kinds of decisions and don't have the weight of the business on me. So
That's cool.
it was a really sweet ending, where, yeah, they just like realized that there's more, they have more opportunities than they were thinking. Even though it wasn't wrong that they wanted what they wanted, it was just like they didn't have the bigger picture, and their family
Yeah.
did.
It's like consider all your options.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a really sweet ending.
That's sweet. Oh.
And yeah, it was sweet. And then I read the last few days of the month, I sped through the audiobook of Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates.
And
Okay,
should I read it?
you can.
Okay.
it wasn't as it wasn't
Say
really
it. It's
worth the
okay.
hype. It wasn't really worth the hype.
Really
Yeah. When
interesting.
I ended
Why
it,
is
I
that?
was like, well, okay, when I finished reading it, I was like, that felt like a knockoff version of It by Stephen King. Which I've never read that book, but I saw the
Oh.
movie and that's what I thought at the end was like, all right, that felt kind of like,
Like we've seen this before. I've heard this before.
yeah. And
Huh.
I was like, dang it, because it was super hyped up. Um, but yeah, I was just like, eh, like, I was expecting a bigger twist at the end, and what ended
Mm.
up happening is why it reminds me of It. Where,
Huh.
like, everyone thought it was this random guy who keeps buying red thread at the store. And then it wasn't, but it was, like, not surprising what it ended up being, which was, like, some creature. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah. Like, the ending reminded me of the ending of the It movie, where they all defeat the clown,
Mm.
and everyone's like, yay! We're good now. And I was like, I mean, I didn't expect everyone to die in the end, but also it just felt just kind of like seen that, where you're like, oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
it was,
Sad.
yeah, I know.
It's the worst. Yeah, it honestly is hard. It's hard when the standard for a book has been set so high. And maybe honestly, if the standard had been lower, you might have enjoyed it more.
That's
You might have
true.
been like, "Oh, this actually wasn't too bad. Like this wasn't actually that terrible. Like I feel like the plot was okay, like wasn't her best work, but I think it was pretty good." But because it was like this is the best book ever. This is exactly what we were wanting. We've been waiting so long for this. And then for it to be nothing new. And then it's like, oh, I was told, like, I was hyped up that it was going to be this amazing, epic, awesome thing. And it just missed the mark for me. And then it kind of like just sets this moment of just disappointment. And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But also, like, why?
One thing
Why?
that was like kind of cool about it was that they had they had a really cool backstory for the creature. Like it they said that it was somehow that the guy that everyone thought was the Stitcher in the town was in the bloodline of this other guy way back like 100 years earlier who basically we end up figuring out is the Stitcher. That he was like in this bloodline and that he was like, I don't want to say feeding the
Oh.
Stitcher. He was more like nurturing it to like keep it at bay from him. And he changed his last name from the guy that is the Stitcher, but he's in like the bloodline of the Stitcher.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Huh.
that was kind of interesting where it was like you knew he wasn't that innocent, but at the same time like it was told very clearly by the characters that like this guy is the Stitcher, the guy that they were creeped out about. But the only discovery that they made was like, oh, he's actually not the Stitcher. He's just related to the Stitcher. And the Stitcher is some creepy thing that lives underground. So it was like
Oh.
a cool backstory of the Stitcher, but also it was like, and maybe
It
it's
could have been done
because,
better.
yeah, like a better ending at least. And maybe it's because I read um Dead of Winter, which had the fattest twist, like PHAT, fattest twist at the end that I was
Yeah.
not expecting. Like, emotional whiplash. I was like, what?
Wow.
So I think going from
Wow.
that and then Where He Can't Find You being so hyped up, I was like, yeah, I'm finally going to read
Exactly.
this. And then it was like,
I think it,
oh,
yeah. I
like,
think it was just the standard that was set. It's so hard. It's so hard, I feel like, for authors to like have a standard set up for them and they're like, this isn't groundbreaking. This isn't like I don't like, it's
yeah.
hard, it's tricky.
And like, it's interesting because the Where He Can't Find You had so much more marketing, so much more hype, so much more um,
Uh,
propaganda, so much more like 3 days until it's out, 2 days until it's out, like counting down than Dead of Winter, and they came out in the same year.
huh. And you loved The Dead of Winter so much more
Yeah.
than
Where He Can't Find You
than Where
came
He
out.
Can't Find You.
Yeah. Where He Can't Find You came out
Huh.
November 7th of 2023. And Dead of Winter came out before that. I don't know how much before that, but I saw the publishing date was 2023. So they came out in the same year. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was just like, all right. You know when you're
That's
like
annoying,
at
but
the end of
I
a
get it.
book and you're like at the very end
What
and
is
you're
this?
like, I'm still waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I get it.
and I think it was because like the progression of the story was like in the beginning of the book, a girl gets taken, and then her sister tries finding her because she knows she was taken by the Stitcher, and it's like, ooh, like, are they gonna find her? And then they find her, and then it goes into feeling like the end of the It movie. And then I was like, how far am
Mm.
I? Because I was listening to the audiobook. I was like, oh my gosh, I have like 20 pages left, and I feel like nothing really happened. You know?
Huh.
Like there were some twists
Yeah.
and turns, but it was like minor twists and turns.
Yeah.
It was like this
Could it
huge thing
could it
happened
okay.
and then like they're
Yeah.
investigating and some miniature big things happen and then they they find her and they defeat it and it's over, which makes sense, but it just was like underwhelming.
Yeah. Do you think it could be a series, a beginning to a series? Or did she say it was just going to be a standalone?
I think it's just
Like,
going to
could
be a
it?
standalone. I don't know though. Let me
Okay.
she when
I mean,
she's
because honestly, it gives me middle book energy. Middle book energy. More context, less action. And I'm wondering if,
yeah.
because they didn't kill it, right? They just fed it.
They just ran away from it, actually.
So it's not, the problem hasn't actually technically been solved. And
I
knowing
th-
Darcy Coates, I'm at least hoping that she would at least find a way to end the problem.
it's like,
I don't know if she's I don't know if she said anything, but
oh,
a part of me is hopeful that she'll release a second book similar to it. That would be like the sequel for it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm suspecting, based on the way it ended, with it being so underwhelming, it'd be so weird for her to hype it up that much to have it be that lame of an ending, especially knowing her other works have been so drastic.
yeah. I mean,
It could be the beginning
but the
of some
interesting,
series.
I don't think so because the ending is like, I think they did defeat it in the, like, they're like escaping for their lives and they're just about to climb out and their friend like defeats it and then they get out and then the end is like the town's been normal for a month and now we all actually feel safe in this town and yay, like everything is fine. So I don't know.
but a lot of it feels unresolved. I don't know. Does some of it feel unresolved?
It just felt underwhelming. Like they figure out that it like dies by fire, that its weakness is fire, and
How'd they figure that out?
that it burns the
Did they just figure
threads.
that out in that page?
Yeah, they like I
Oh.
remember like reviewing like as I'm reviewing the pages, I remember that they like scorched it
Huh.
and
Oh, well, maybe it is a standalone. But that is kind of like
it just like got
lame.
it came out of its dungeon that was like underneath the creepy guy's house and ended up getting him and like was afraid of fire. And it was like okay. Like it just I don't know.
It's kind of a weird ending. That is kind of weird.
Yeah, like
Well,
I mean the like I said, the story like the premise of or not the premise. The backstory of the Stitcher is cool. Like I really enjoyed learning about like where he came from, how he's related to the creepy neighbor, and like all of that stuff. And there were some miniature twists, but like as I was going through it, I was like, okay, it seems like the author is really trying to convince me that it's this creepy neighbor.
mm,
And I was like, ooh, maybe that's like trying to like throw my thoughts off, like Dead of Winter. So let's see. And then I got to the end and was like,
wait,
yes.
what?
Like I was right. They were trying to throw my thoughts off, but in like the most cliche way possible. You know, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ah.
That's weird.
It was,
Maybe she had other intentions with the book, but that is kind of a weird ending. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see more.
I don't know. Yeah, it like the Stitcher doesn't like fire and it's related to the creepy neighbor. That's pretty much the end. And then everyone's happy in the last chapter. And I was like, okay.
Happy, happy, happy.
Yeah. I was like,
Wow.
all right.
Well,
So it was mid. It was like 4 out of 5.
all right.
I wouldn't
Okay.
say it's low to
Her
be a
best
3,
stuff.
but yeah,
Yeah.
not her best. I don't know. I think it
Okay.
could have been a
Interesting.
series, but it
Huh.
just the ending felt like It by Stephen King, where they like
Yeah.
defeat the creepy monster. You know? Yeah. Didn't really feel original, but anyways, it's a
Yeah.
long
I
way
get
to
it. And
answer that.
honestly, maybe it was just her. Yeah, but honestly, maybe it was just her way of testing out that style. Because wasn't it like kind of like a comic book in a lot of ways?
Yeah,
There were like
for each part.
parts of it.
Yeah, there was 4 parts and each part had like in between each part there were pictures.
Yeah.
Uh,
It could be her, trying out a new style of writing and literature and how her books are laid out, which I think is a cool concept, but I don't know. I'm like, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, it doesn't
yeah.
sound like her to write something that's mid, but
Yeah,
who knows?
no. Cuz I've read 6 of her books. 4 was one series and then the other one was Dead
Yeah.
of Winter and I was blown away in every single book. And I was
Yeah.
so ready to be
So,
blown away because of the hype and I'm like eh.
yeah. So, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, so it's yeah, it was a little overhyped.
Yeah. I got you though. I understand. But hey,
Yeah.
at least you were honest.
Yeah, I mean, like I still love her books. I'll still read anything that she releases, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like it, but if you were like change the villain
Hmm.
and the story. Yeah. So,
Weird.
yeah, how did your January TBR go?
Not how I expected at all. Um, but also so the reality is I just my work life recently has been a lot. Like my manager put in her 2 weeks notice mid-Feb or mid-January. And
Dang.
so now I'm getting all of her tasks. I'm not becoming a manager, but I'm just taking over what she used to do in terms of content coordination or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so then it's like I get home and I'm so tired from learning, and it's like an information overload. I mean, it's like, okay, here's the next dozens of things you're gonna do, and you've got 4 days to train on it, and I'm like, what? So
Cool.
it honestly has been a lot. So I did not get as far as I thought I was going to, not gonna lie. But I am like I didn't even get close to hitting my goal. And I just have to remember I'm like, okay, listen, I had a weird month. I had a lot of big changes. Like I just have to give myself a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
And so I'm
What
excited to
what was your
go ahead.
goal for January?
I think it was to read 3 books. I can't actually remember. I wrote it down somewhere, and I can't. Oh, okay. I didn't actually have a January TBR. Looking back, I only had a 2024 TBR, which also could be
Ah,
why I didn't actually get as much reading done as I thought I was going to.
makes
Um,
sense.
Besides work changes and things, I think I was like, oh yeah, here's the top 10 books I want to read in 2024. And it wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't like January oriented, it was just 2024 oriented. So I think that's where my brain was like, "Oh, I'm fine. Like I've got 11 months to work on these, you know?" So, yeah. I did
Yeah.
not read as much as I wanted to. But I love that we have resources like Libby and Audible and Kindle to just even if I don't have books available, I can still read them. So, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm really excited for February and my TBR. And
Me too.
honestly, if I could get these 3 done, then I would love to go back and revisit some of the ones that I was hoping to read last month and try and catch up, play catch up. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I still want to read 6 books this month, but because I'm not sure if that'll happen, I'm just starting with 3 because there is 3.5 weeks in this month. Like February started in the middle of a week and it ends
Yeah.
in the middle of a week. So I'm gonna kind of just see how this goes. At
Yeah.
the start of the month, I don't really read that much or I haven't been really reading that much at the start of February because that's when I have to
Mhm.
work the most. So
Mhm.
I know like after next week, I'll be reading more. But not that I won't read next week. I plan to read next week, but
Yeah.
um, it's just yeah, the the start of every month is the busiest for me in work. So
Yeah, totally get it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Well, anyway, I am excited for February and I am excited to be able to just read and catch up on all the things that I thought I was going to read and then I missed. Um, I am hoping to finish. This is not on my February TBR, but it's just a goal I would like to have. I would love to finish the Black Winter series by the end of March, at the latest.
that's a good goal.
If not, I'm hoping for end of February if I can get these 3 books done. Um, but we'll see.
And I
Anyway,
think
so
I
yeah.
think the audiobook for number 2 and 3 are in Audible. I don't think number 4 is though. I
Okay.
remember it
Okay.
not being, I think.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah. And I will be able to tell when you get to book 3 because I'll be getting a lot of texts.
I'm so scared. I'm so excited, but I'm so scared.
I am so excited because
I'm
it's the best
ready.
one. It is the best one. 5-star of the whole series.
Okay,
So good.
great. I'm excited. Maybe when I'm done, we can actually do some episodes on these books, which would be so cool.
Yes, I would definitely want to do that. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm excited. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I'm looking forward to February. I hope you are too. And audience members, if you guys have any recommendations for what we should read, maybe later in February or even in March, um, we'd love to hear it. We always love hearing feedback from you guys. We love being able to just interact with y'all. So we're excited about that. And if you guys want to follow along with us, all of these books are available at Barnes and Noble or your local bookstore. You can also do like Libby or Audible, just whatever's available and current for you. You should try. Um, anyway, do you have any final thoughts, Anne, before we check out?
Uh, I don't think so. Just yeah, get your TBR list going for February. Have fun. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to finish it.
Yeah, seriously.
And yeah, I don't follow us on Instagram at the lattelibrarians.pod. And again, if you have any recommendations or questions or things you want us to talk about, you can DM us at the lattelibrarians.pod or you can email us at the lattelibrarians@gmail.com. And follow us on YouTube at the Latte Librarians. And follow this podcast on Spotify. And
Yep. We're all over the place, y'all. It's hard to miss us.
yeah, it's so hope you have a great and a lovely February TBR. Lovely.
Lovely. That's funny. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I mean, I just want to echo what you said. Follow us on all the platforms. Become a latte librarian yourself. And seriously, with reading, don't put pressure on yourself. Life gets in the way. I mean, life has gotten in the way for me, and it's been hard for me to read recently. So don't give up. But also, if you can't read for a season, you can't read for a season, and just you move on and you keep trying the next day. So don't be discouraged. Don't give up. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.